Alrighty. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We got a really fun day here together. We've got 10, maybe 11 grantees here with us from the BioFi Pathfinders round to share about who they are, what they're up to, how we can all support them, and just kind of start to build relationships across these diverse practitioners in diverse bioregions. So it's a real treat to have you all here, and I think this is going to be a really juicy hour and a half together. If it's your first time showing up here, this is the BioFi community of practice. It's a place where we come together to share and learn and collaborate towards building bioregional financing facilities. Knowing that this is something that's on the edge of culture design and economics design, and no one really has the answers for how to do this, but we need to be doing it together and communicating. Um, so welcome. And basically, how the show is going to run today is we're going to start with some high-level framing of what is this BioFi Pathfinders round, who's helping put it together, and then we're going to hear from 10 of the grantees that are in this round, just 4 minutes of who they are, what they're up to, and what they're working on in regards to BioFi. And then we'll have some space for open dialogue and question and answers with them all. Um, but I think I want to start maybe by inviting like Benjamin, Joe, and Will to each share a little bit about where they're coming from organizationally, but also personally in supporting this BioFi Gitcoin round, and maybe a little grounding of kind of what is Gitcoin for those who are coming to this for the first time, um, and why, from their organizational perspectives, are they devoting so much time and even money to support this round and support these grantees. Um, and so, Benjamin, can I turn it to you? Do you want to give a quick little, like, 1 to 2 minute intro and sense of who Open Civics is and who you are?
I would be happy to. Thank you. Um, yeah, Open Civics has been deeply woven in with the Gitcoin community since really the very beginning. The first funding we ever received was from a meta crisis round because Kevin Owocki, the founder of Gitcoin, did an interview with Daniel Schmachtenberger and started to wrap his head around what the meta crisis is and how we can respond to it. And he immediately jumped into action and put some resources behind a round specifically devoted to projects that are addressing the meta crisis. And I think that's a really fitting way to start this conversation, just because that's both the origin story of Open Civics, our work being directly in response to this sense of not just one crisis, not just a climate crisis, but also a crisis of democracy, also a crisis of community and mental health. And so the work that we do is really about directly empowering people at the grassroots level to create alternative systems that resolve some of the systemic challenges that we're facing that can't be resolved merely by reforming our existing systems. And so that design philosophy of, as Buckminster Fuller says, designing a new system that just simply makes the old one obsolete, I think has really found a natural home here in the world of Web3 and Gitcoin, where people are willing to take risks and fund things that are outside of the box. I'm really excited to have this weaving of the bioregional work, which is something that has also been really near and dear to my heart because it includes that ecological consciousness and includes prioritizing and foregrounding the voices and perspectives of land stewards and First Nations. And to see that work now woven into how we can use these building blocks of new systems to create ones that make the old systems obsolete is really why I'm here, why we're doing this work. Um, and yeah, I think the last thing I can share is that we are really devoted to participatory systems and participatory design. And so this evolution of BioFi and seeing the work that Sam and others have been doing in this space has really been a very positive signal to us that we're aligned not just in the mission of regenerating the planet, but that it's the way in which we do it that matters. and that only by directly empowering the people who have their hands in the soil, and making sure decision making and agency of those people is honored, is part of the design philosophy that I think we share. And so, refi, regenerative finance, is kind of, to me, this global layer of how do we change the incentive landscape so that we can reward people for taking pro-social and pro-ecological actions. And then BioFi being this evolution of how can we actually link these financial instruments to the land-based communities that actually have the knowledge and the experience and the ground wisdom of how to apply those funds in place. And so we're deeply aligned in that mission of directly empowering people with new tools and frameworks and infrastructure that doesn't just create some kind of new kind of top-down global climate, you know, ecological authoritarianism, but actually shifts the power landscape so that the people at the grassroots have the ability to make their own decisions about what they value and are supported by these kinds of infrastructures. And so that's why I'm here. There's this deep heart and value alignment around how do we use these tools to directly empower communities, and how do we use these participatory budgeting mechanisms to allocate resources based on collective intelligence and the will of the people.
Beautiful. Thank you, Benjamin. Um, for those who aren't seeing all the hard work that goes into running a Gitcoin round, it's a tremendous amount of work from convincing the Gitcoin community that this is something worth investing in, to helping all the grantees figure out all the technical aspects of Web3 and troubleshooting and working with the Gitcoin team. So Benjamin's been huge in that, and we're really grateful for all the support there. Um, I want to toss it over to Will Saul of Regen Foundation, who's been a huge supporter of this round. They put in $5,000 to support this along with other partners. And just Will, very quickly, 1 or 2 minutes of what's Regen Foundation's perspective on what this round represents, and why was it something you all wanted to support?
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. Hi, everyone. I'm calling in from my home watershed in the Connecticut River Valley here in Western Massachusetts today. Um, my my journey with bioregional finance started in 2010 when I helped start a local food system loan fund for the Connecticut River Valley, and then in 2017 helped start Regen Network to uh, the language I was using at that time was imbuing the economy with ecological sentience. And then Samantha put forward the BioFi book in the spring, and we got to uh, host Samantha and Tyler at Chantigar here in Western Massachusetts in May for a kickoff BioFi gathering. And I guess I would say um, this uh, this conception of bioregional finance and each of the endeavors represented in this round, there have been these seeds that have been slowly germinating. Um, in some ways, you could say over the last 50 years, and it feels like this is a moment where there's this huge blossoming and this kind of coming to the surface of all these mycelial webs that have been growing for so long. So I guess I would just say Regen Foundation sees the work that each of you are doing here uh, as kind of this process of kind of linking grassroots regeneration with the global economy, and how do we find kind of coherence between the two of those. Um, so I'll stop there.
Beautiful. Thanks, Will. And I think lastly, I want to turn it over to Joe and Penny of the Design School for Regenerating Earth, who they also put in $5,000 and have been huge in supporting this round and inviting some folks that they've been in relationship with to be part of it. And I know there's a lot of folks from the Design School here today. So Joe, yeah, what are you seeing in this moment in Web3 and Gitcoin and in the bioregion movement? What's the significance of this round?
Thanks for that question. And so my partner Penny is here. We co-founded the design school together about a year and a half ago. I'll just be the speaker today because we're going to be really quick. We want to actually hear from all of you about your stories. Penny and I spent 2 years going out and doing bioregional activations in landscapes that we were invited to. And we saw that there was a huge, huge undertow, that wave coming in that you can't see, but that it's forcibly changing the landscape. And we saw that everywhere we went, but we also saw that most people didn't have the story for it. So we would be invited in and tell a story using Google Maps, zooming in and out to show how to organize landscapes, and people would just click into deep coherence. And those who were doing the bioregional organizing going back to the 70s, many of those elders were in the room and they were like, thank God the young people are coming again. We'd given up. Like just you could feel this energetic pull. It was truly amazing. For example, when we were in Cascadia, we went to 14 communities in 30 days. There was at least one pioneer, elder, and founder of the bioregional movement in the room in every town that we went to. Same could be said for Appalachia, for Connecticut and Massachusetts, for Maine, for Southern Ontario, et cetera. It's just like everywhere we went. And here we are in the Northern Andes in Colombia. Here it's like the indigenous people are still here going like, glad you guys are ready to listen. So, they go back thousands of years. And I would say the reason I think this round is so important is not just because we're making visible stories of 14 of the bioregions that are organizing this way, because there are many more than these 14, but also that we're establishing the clarity of what it means to be organizing this way in two senses. One is to be eligible to participate in this round, you had to legitimately be organizing bioregionally, which means we have 14 case studies of best examples in the world. What a great thing to take to other kinds of funders, right? But the other thing is that we're seeing each other and making visible how much bigger the movement is, because it's actually much bigger than the 14 that are in this round. We needed to be constrained by the size of a prototype. But what I see as the real power of what we're doing is the way that our host team is holding this round. We're focusing primarily on creating communication and promotional materials to support the 14 bioregions and helping the 14 bioregional groups to form relationships with each other. Who cares about the $55,000 in matching funds? Who cares about how much donations we get? That's tiny. What's big is our shared story and our ability to relate to each other and what that's going to enable moving forward. So I want to shut up now because I want to hear from the 10 different bioregions, but that's what I wanted to add into the mix.
Thanks, Joe. Samantha, anything you want to wrap us with before we get into the first presentation?
Yeah, I'll be brief. And I just want to say that this has been so much fun and such an honor to be able to collaborate with these other organizations to pull together this round in a very short period of time and to be able to showcase the stories of these amazing bioregional organizing teams to really show funders that there are grassroots initiatives that are really sophisticated and ready to receive funding at a much larger scale than we've seen before, including through bioregional financing facilities. And I also like that through this round, we're getting to show the nested scales at which BioFi can happen. So of course, there are the amazing 14 bioregional teams that we're showcasing as our grantees, but then Ma Earth and their grants round is showcasing amazing regenerative land projects. And if you haven't checked out those yet, we highly recommend looking at those 30 amazing projects from around the world. And we believe it's really important that we build connective tissue between those regenerative land projects and the bioregional organizing teams that are in our round. And yeah, I'll hand it over to you, Tyler. Excited to be here.
Thanks, y'all. All right, so we've got 10 folks and not a lot of time, which means we have to do the painful thing of asking people with so much depth and complexity to compress all of that into 4-minute presentations here. And I've got the really unpleasant role of being the timekeeper. And so I'm going to invite Jennifer up first, and you can see the order that we'll go in there. We'll take a break after the fifth one. But for each presentation, I'll give you a heads up when you've gone 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And then once we get to that 4-minute mark, I'm going to start being obnoxious. And hopefully I don't have to be too obnoxious. But Jennifer, if you need to share screen, maybe raise your hand so I can see where you are um, on the Zoom room, because currently I'm not seeing you.
I'm right here.
There you are.
Yeah. I'm contemplating in my mind like how to reduce everything down into 4 minutes. I think, I think I'm not going to share my screen and just speak just because I think it'll, yeah, and maybe people can go to a website or there'll be other opportunities in the future to share images and photos and everything. But just to start, I just want to say I'm so thankful for everything that the bio team has done and all the auxiliary teams that have brought all this together. My team is just super happy to be part of all of this, and we feel really fortunate. And I'm really excited to get to know all the other bioregions and learn from all of you. So I'm part of an initiative in the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica, and we're calling it this Centro Estratégico de Desarrollo de la Península de Osa. And the acronym is SEDPO. And we've been working, on this regenerative work for about 10 years. I will save my personal story with it, but I do have a very just heart deep connection to this forest and have spent a lot of time in solitude in the forest and with the people there. And that's part of why I got involved. And so about 10 years ago, we did a systems analysis with many of the local leaders and both Indigenous and Native Costa Ricans. And through that process, really collectively identified a shared vision of having a thriving culture, community, thriving ecosystem, and thriving regenerative economy, and ways, pathways to ideally actualize that. And so about 4 years ago, we founded this center. And it was several of our local partners' vision to work with the local governance council to utilize that systems analysis and identify projects that would actualize this regenerative future for both the people and the environment. And so we've since then been supporting capacity strengthening. We've also been investing in projects. Like for example, one of them, is working with the Nobi and just sending grant money to them for their vision around cultural exchange between their culture right now and the people who are actually living on the reservation. It's they're leaving very quickly, so there are about 500 left, and the elders are really wanting their cultural knowledge to be passed down to the youth. So that's the type of stuff we're trying to support, and also agriculture, regenerative agriculture. We have a project that we're investing in vanilla, to grow a native vanilla, also to reduce palm oil farms and bring in biodiverse plants and trees and products. And so it's working across sectors. The idea is that you can't just focus on a siloed aspect of a bioregion. You need to really look at the whole picture and support these different parts that all collectively are intertwined with one another and
30
collectively support
seconds,
one another.
Jennifer.
Okay. Yeah, and so I feel like I'm just like a spokesperson for my team, and I hope that you're able to meet all of them at some point, or to be able to have them on screen. But yeah, just thank you so much, and yep, we're very happy to be part of this.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Mhm.
Okay. And feel free to give some finger love after each presentation. Clapping doesn't work great in these spaces, but finger love does. Okay. Up next is Brandon and Claire of Regenerate Cascadia. Let me
Yeah.
know if you need anything from me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I am going to hand over to Brandon in just a second, but I just wanted to introduce myself as the other half of the Regenerate Cascadia team. And I'm in Canada. Brandon is in Seattle. And I we're just realizing that we are just at the 1 year anniversary of the activation tour that Joe was referring to, where we visited 14 communities, and that really kind of was the catalyst for where things took off for Regenerate Cascadia. And being in two different countries, sharing one bioregion, we get to navigate all the complexities of the nation state. So I'm going to hand over to Brandon now.
Yeah, thanks. And just to be very specific to what Joe was talking about, Regenerate Cascadia, Claire and I basically thought of this idea, or kind of came up with the idea about a year and a half ago, and it grew out of the Salmon Nation Edge Prize. And then really through this activation tour in which we traveled to 14 different communities in 30 days. And at every stop, we really asked, what would it take to regenerate an entire bioregion? What would it take to organize and regenerate watersheds, ecoregions? And then in the end, this huge stretching area. And what we found is that people really need to be resourced and that we need to be ready and that people want to support regenerative work, but they don't know how. And the people who are busy doing the work are busy doing the work, and their work needs to be visualized, connected, and supported. And so now we're really operating from this question, this guiding question of if $100 million flowed into these landscapes to make a regenerative future happen, how can we best connect this funding to regenerators on the ground as best determined by people in those communities who are doing that work? What does a regenerative future for these areas look like? And how do we make sure that that remains a part of a coherent strategy and plan? Not just in one landscape, but actually in every different landscape. And then how are we weaving that all together in these different nested scales of landscapes, ecoregions, bioregions, right? Like so in Seattle and Victoria, Vancouver, but then up to the Salish Sea and then up to the Cascadia bioregion at the top. So really, Regenerate Cascadia is focused on creating a mycelial web in the front end. We want a kind of a critical path that every landscape can go through to self-organize regeneration teams that can form hubs that can do the sense making to visualize, connect, and support work happening in the landscape, and also to create an actual coherent regeneration strategy that also includes budgeting, and that's budgeting for their team. But more than that, it's actually putting together with the people doing the work a map and a list of costs of like what would it actually take to regenerate a watershed, what would it actually take to regenerate a ecosystem or a bioregion and get us to a place where we're in a regenerative future. And that's going to be a rough draft. But as soon as we start thinking about that, we can actually start mobilizing funding. And if landscapes are coherently working together, they can be
30
planning
seconds,
together
Brandon.
for how they're planning together. In the back end, then, we're just creating a Cascadia bioregional financing facility, a flow fund, a funding ecosystem that can then flow money into these communities so that communities can allocate their own funds and see the work supported as guided by themselves and rooted in this idea of community consent and community-owned data. So thank you.
Woo. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Claire. All righty. We're coming at you quick. Next up is Cheryl Shen of Salmon Nation Collabs.
Hello, everyone. I just want to, start by saying how thankful I am for this community and this group. It's been so special to have you guys sort of create this container to hold these emerging bioregional efforts, and particularly connecting us with the Web3 space and starting to flow funds through the Web3 space and just starting to experiment and do it together. It's been really, really beautiful and also just really nourishing to know that we're not alone. We're here part of something bigger than ourselves and a huge global community of practice working to regenerate bioregions across the earth. So I'm just so grateful because sometimes, you could be sitting at your computer being like, this is such a huge thing I'm trying to do. But being part of a group always makes it easier and more fun. But yeah, my name's Cheryl Chen. I grew up in the Oak Tree foothills of the Santa Cruz Mountain, which is in the South Bay Area of California in the United States. And I'm part of an effort called Salmon Nation, which is a bioregion defined by the extent of wild Pacific salmon. It essentially goes from Salinas River in Monterey, California, all the way to the North Slope of Alaska. And for those that don't know, salmon are a keystone species. They're kind of our canary in the coal mine, that they really show us how if salmon are thriving, then we're thriving as a people as well. And they really show us the way in terms of how do we regenerate this place that we live. And yeah, following the salmon will show us the way back home to right relations with the land and each other. So in June of this year, we launched a new organization called Salmon Nation Collabs, focused on bioregional finance and innovating finance. And it's focused on 3 areas. It's focused on advancing ecosystem service markets. So we're working to advance, for example, a concept of a salmon eco credit, potentially a watershed resilience fund. A second area we're focused on is governance and service to life. So how we can do governance differently than, say, the traditional corporate structures we have right now that flow a lot of the finance in the world. For example, we are starting to put together something we're calling the Salmon Nation Rematriation Fund, where it's a DAF-DAO combined structure. And we're looking at how do we, what would governance look like if we centered more matriarchal ways of relating and thinking about not just centering human life, but all life in this bioregion, as well as, several generations forward. And then the third area that we're focused on is rights of nature to thrive. With that kind of innovation, it's able to then make a lot of this regenerative work more sort of legally legible to people, and then you can build a foundation of creating sort of economic and financial innovations. And so we're looking at how we can help propel that work forward as well. But aside from these sort of financial innovations, what really is sort of the heart of this work is process. So we work at the whole bioregional level, Salmon Nation, but also
30
in
seconds, Cheryl.
Yeah. And really it's how do we find our way from where we are now to this regenerative future, right? So it's recognizing the story of this place, existing tensions, healing from that, and finding a way forward. And so that's really what we're focused on, is sort of the social cultural process of bringing people together. Anyways, that's it. Thanks so much, you guys.
Woohoo! Thank you, Cheryl. Amazing. Alrighty, we're going now to the other side of North America, to the forests of the Northeast. Michael, are you here? Michael Thomas?
Yep, he's in the room.
Yes, I am here.
The floor is yours for 4 minutes.
All right, let's see if we can do this with a camera. Wiki-suck. My name is Michael Thomas, and I represent the Dawnlands Alliance that has emanated from my people's perspective, from a special project of my tribe and our institution, the Mashantucket Pequot Museum and Research Center. And we want to become a facilitator of new levels of unity between tribal communities and folks who, frankly, often do the same work or pursue the same goals that we do as tribes without hardly ever spending time on the tribe's part or on the organization's parts outside of Indian country, building our own relationships. And so the focal point for us is to build relationships that are authentic between organizations themselves, and to merge those into tribal relationships that are literally thousands of years old. And so part of what we are trying to do is blend the traditional wisdom that, as someone mentioned earlier, is all of a sudden popular again and got my elders laughed out of rooms in the 50s and 60s, with the best practices available on Earth that come from other cultures. And so, from our perspective, we've made a great start building authentic relationships among a team that's already really big, and that will become the foundation for the larger relationships that we create to respect our stewardship responsibilities and the relationships outside of people that we are all responsible for. And so the beauty of the work of many of you that I was not familiar with before becoming a part of this group is that it supports ancient values and goals that we chase every day. And so we are with like-minded people, forming real relationships before we jump into action together. And it couldn't feel more right from a tribal perspective. Most times that people want to extract from us traditional wisdom, not use it in a collaborative process to pursue mutual goals. We're thrilled that this is different. It is a new time. And we will ensure that a large group of tribes in this region are ready to usher that new time in. Tapatimu.
Wow. Thank you so much, Michael. It's great to have you here. Wow. Alrighty. Moving on, moving on. I believe we have Tanya from Barichara Regenerativa.
Hola,
Hola,
can you
hola.
hear me?
Sí.
Eso. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Tania Falconer. I happen to be born in Mexico City, and I am an earthling living in Barichara, Colombia, for around like almost 4 years. And since that time, I got involved with regenerative practices, and it has been an amazing journey. And so, first, I want to thank all the team that has been involved in organizing this. That I know is a huge work. So, thank you, thank you. And it's for me, it's a huge responsibility to be representing Barichara because we are around 12 people forming this foundation, and there's a lot of processes. The main focus here in the foundation that has been already registered since well, after 4 years of hard work. The focus is in watershed restoration, but also on people, on community, on the collective, and how these processes that have been already happening for a long time can be articulated among them. So in the foundation, we have 4 thematic areas to organize, and this is regenerative education, regeneration of natural ecosystems, regenerative economy, and also the cultural and territorial regeneration and healing. Because for us, it's key to, well, we believe that regeneration at all levels mentioned can only be possible if there's a spiritual and emotional healing at the individual level and a collective level, obviously, but through this restoration of human relationships and also through the relationship we have with planet Earth and all its earthlings. So we have also managed to start funds that are going to address all these topics. And one thing I wanted to mention is the funds that we gather here will be able to support also creating governance structures for watershed restoration, and also to connect all these processes. Is the articulation of what is already happening here, what's important, and the people doing the work. So it's a honor, it's a pleasure, it's been wonderful, and I've been learning a lot of BioFi and ReFi, and so thanks to all of you for the support and the patience.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks.
Okay, that was five, and we got five more to go. And so I want to give us a break here to let that sink in a little bit. It's a little trippy bouncing around the world that quickly when there's so much richness being brought forth. And so I just wanted to give us a second to breathe that in. And yeah, we'll have five more and some discussion after that. But just in this moment of pause and letting that sink in, I'm curious if anyone from the round team um, or any of the grantees want to just comment on patterns that they're feeling are present in this room or have been present in this round that really articulate what does bioregional organizing mean? What is different than just kind of regenerative organizing or refi? What is the sense of something that nurtures that real essence of bioregional organizing that we're feeling here? How can we name that? So just invite us to reflect on that for a second. Yeah, go for it, Joe.
I'll just name two things that I'm seeing in all of the patterns that are being presented. One is the decolonizing of everything, like the decolonizing of story, of money, of relationship, and the reconstructing of a proper history, and all that's implied there. And then the other is the organizing from within our landscapes, and just how truly profound that is to go and say, well, what does this watershed need? What do these local people working in subsistence, agrarian life, what do they need, etc. And just seeing that coming forth in all of the different stories that we're hearing so far. And it's just a total affirmation that bioregionalism was the right way to go back in the 70s. And I'm glad more people are finding it.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, Claire.
Yeah, I'm so appreciating the connecting with other communities, with the Web3 community, and with each other. There's just, I mean, that is to me one of the biggest things, and also that we're all, there is no roadmap right now. We're all making it up as we go along, and to experience the humanness of each other. It's not like actually meeting each other is, and I would love more opportunity for that. But yeah, so much learning going on, and the connecting is huge.
Tanya.
Yes, something came to mind, like what Claire was saying, connecting at this human level. And we had the chance to have this refi barichara like 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago. And this was amazing because here we had like, I don't know how many people, but it was like a lot of people that were used to be connected to their computers and working in front of the laptop or the computer. And we decided for syntropic agroforestry, that is the process that I am in coordinating. Let's put them to work with the soil. Let's put them to touch the ground, to feel the plants. And it was amazing. And the people didn't want to stop. And we had other stops planned already, and they didn't want to stop. So we had to drag them to the bus and say, hey, we are late. We have to go. I'm sorry. But and that was really, really, I don't know, it was the humanness, but also the connection to nature that was healing. So it came to mind. Thanks.
Thank you, Tanya. And thank you, Maria and Hel, for the beautiful, beautiful friend you have there, bringing us some more than human life on this call as well. Lovely. Okay, let's keep the show rolling. If you need to wiggle your body, get some energy back in it, get the attention ready, get the mind ready to listen, we're rolling back in, and then we'll open it up for dialogue and some questions towards the end. So who we got? We have Antonio Paglino of ReFi Sicilia.
Hey, welcome everybody. It's great to see so many friendly, familiar faces here. And yeah, just, Refi Bar HR was such a watershed moment and really grateful for that experience, which has helped me continue on this path. And so I'm here representing both ReFi Sicilia and ReFi Mediterranean, which the BioFi round was a catalyst for bringing this group of projects together, including Andrea is here as well, and who was here with us last year at ReFi Sicilia Week. So it's great to just see all of these connections continue to evolve and to grow. And what defines the Mediterranean basin and bioregion is a habitat for the olive tree. So I'm sure we've all seen the news coming out of Valencia and the flash floods there, as well as the conflict and the decolonization work that needs to be done in Palestine and Lebanon on the other side of the Mediterranean, and how the olive tree can act as a bridge, as well as this bioregional organizing can act as a bridge between the local and the global, as well as the on-chain and the off-chain worlds. So as you can see from this little image here, which was very elegantly done by the ReFi DAO designer, we have multiple ReFi nodes who have already been doing work within the bioregion, from ReFi Lisboa, organizing a lot of the ReFi dApp developer teams, traditional Dream Factory hosting a lot of in-person workshops and events at their eco village in southern Portugal, as well as ReFi Barcelona. And ReFi Sicilia is one node within the ReFi Italia group. And we're getting another node set up online, ReFi Calabria, which is focused on a lot of the storytelling and the reconnection to the land. And then we have the Earthis DAO in Turkey, which is focusing on hemp, regenerative hemp production. So we have a very diverse mix of on-the-ground experiences. And through this BioFi grant round, we've been able to come together, really hustle and sprint to creating this application, which is the basis for our bioregional regeneration strategy. And so now we have an on-chain multi-sig wallet. So this is helping for us to form more formal. We're forming formal processes of governance. So what's interesting is we're working with a lot of similar tools. There's a whole full stack ReFi application toolkit, which is just growing more and more by the day. And we are how do we integrate all of these different tools in different contexts? And so that is one of the primary focuses. How do we do bioregional development with this technological innovation? So really looking forward to diving into. I mean, the grant round is fun and everything, but really looking forward to what comes next and seeing what we can produce as a model for other bioregions, as well as learning from other bioregions. And thanks again to Monty for being a steward and helping us set this up, and has just been very helpful along the way, as well as everybody else who's been contributing to the bioregional dialogue this whole time, and just kind of not sounding so crazy when everybody else sounds crazy. So thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Big snaps, big snaps. Alrighty, Michelle, it's over to you.
All right. Thank you all. I'm so inspired, and I'm so happy to hear everybody else's projects and efforts around the world. My name is Michelle Lee. I'm joined here by partner Spencer, and one of our core team leads, Matt Jorgensen, isn't here today, so we are going to do our best to represent the wider core team here. We are in Northern California and on the traditional territories of the Southern Pomo and Coast Miwok, or now known as the Federated Tribes of the Great and Rancheria. Maybe try something funky if you're open to it. If I invite you to close your eyes right now and to get a sense of what we're talking about, the whole that we're working on. So imagine walking into the center of a small town, less than 2,000 people. It's just 2 blocks, and you see a big vacant lot, trash, the former gas station here. And now imagine that same lot is vibrant, buzzing, alive. Kids are playing in the rain gardens. There's native pollinator habitats and spaces for a local market and people to potlatch. Local residents, they're playing music, coming together on this stage that we built from wood scraps during one of the volunteer days. And we have a cargo shipping container where we've redone it into the Museum of the Future. And so looking backwards 150 years and forward 150 years, this is our seed Museum of the Future. And then there's the old vacant firehouse that's been empty for over 10 years. There's a cafe. There's a food hall from all the local purveyors and makers because this area is so rich in agriculture and the soil is so fertile. And then the industrial warehouses, which have been slowly vacated by the Apple industry, is now a bioregional hub and venture studio. So you can open your eyes if you want, or you can take a nap. But this town that was once a pass-through is now a vibrant hub where the community and the land have come to know its essence and develop from that essence. It's participatory, it's of human and more than human communities. It's a life shed. Imagine this same story of this town playing out across the 16,000 small towns in the US, a population under 10,000. And so we can kind of see this evolving story from empty industrial and ag infrastructure in towns to creative community-centered villages. So that's what we're doing in our little tiny place of revillaging the Green Valley watershed is we work on commons and shared ritual and community infrastructure to support this 150 years backwards, forwards, or 7 generations vision for our bioshed in the West Sonoma County of California. It's about an hour and a half north of San Francisco Bay Area. And we're really in this learning, listening, and sensing place. But we really see maybe the larger potential of that story is these, thank you, these small towns and this growing movement and longing to reconnect back to ourselves, each other through places, being self-determining, sourced from that essence of a particular place and its peoples and communities. And that's where we kind of came to this revillaging. And so the funding and just being in community with you all, the new future, it enables us to continue with these community events. We had this Great Day, volunteer days, and storytelling. Right now we're excavating what is the story of this place and the essence, and creating from that, as opposed to it's a counter to generification and gentrification that we're seeing happening a lot too. And it's enabling us to dream into these industrial ag infrastructure, into its evolving story, and one that is of bioregional financing and hubs to kind of meet and cultivate that dreaming into place and being. So thank you so much. So grateful to be a part of here with you all.
Thank you, Michelle. So beautiful. Thanks for the chance to close our eyes. Very appreciated. Okay, over to Maria Elena and Karsten Christiani of Thera.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tyler. And yeah, I also just want to thank all of the organizers, because the Gitcoin space and all of the tech that goes around the work that's that we're all working towards is brand new to me, and the team has been really fabulous. So I just want to thank everybody for that. It's been super helpful. So Karsten and I don't know if he's up here, I can't see him, but Karsten and I are creating a bioregional learning center in the southwest of France. There he is, thank you. We're creating the center in the southwest of France. Although I don't sound French, I just want to let people know that I am French and I do speak French. I was raised as a dual natural and dual citizen. And I do understand the local culture and speak the local language. And I think that's really important. However, I don't live in the area where we have decided to create our bioregion. I live 6.5 hours away from it. But the reason why we chose the Tarn-et-Garonne, which is where we're basing our bioregional learning center, is because I have family that live in that area and I got to know the area through them. And the department in question is, I would say, probably one of the most beautiful departments in the southwest of France. The land there is mostly agricultural land. Unfortunately, most of the farming that is done there is industrial, traditional farming. However, it's also one of the places where I find people to be the most open in France. It's also one of the poorest areas economically. And so we felt that the combination of the beautiful landscape, the open-mindedness in the people, and the economic need made it a wonderful place to actually set up a bioregional learning center. And we do aim in the long run to regenerate the entire bioregion, which is the whole southwest of France, the Pyrenees at the bottom, the Atlantic Ocean, the Massif Central, and it pretty much almost hits the Mediterranean on the east side. Our bioregional learning center is really built around 3 pillars. And the first that we focus on is really a huge portfolio of projects and the project leads that are running those projects. We have already met quite a few people in the bioregion that are doing fantastic work, that they're not necessarily calling bioregional to be bioregional work, but is absolutely in that vein. And we see ourselves as a vehicle to support them, to bring them the services and resources that they need to do even better work. And those resources might be human resources, might just be providing some knowledge and expertise, but it might also be about bringing them financial resources. So that first pillar is really around federating the local players, orchestrating them, and helping them learn from each other. The second pillar is the center itself. We have a place that we have purchased.
30 seconds, Maria.
5 hectares of land, and we aim for this place to become like a showcase for the community. We want to show what regeneration is all about. So we'll be doing permaculture gardens and a lot of other things that we're going to be building very soon. And Karsten will talk to you about the third pillar, which is about funding.
I don't think we're at the time.
I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Thank you so much.
30 seconds. Right. So the bootstrapping side, we're creating this build-a-thon next spring, where we want to build everything on the land in 3 weeks, and we hope to do it with all of you together. The ecosystem side is breeding lots of zebras and doing that through venture building and large-scale fundraising. So that's another conversation I'd love to have with many of you. But the one thing that I really want to say is I've had so many conversations over the last year where people like me, like Maria, who have been doing this alone for a long, long time, are finally coming together, doing this in community and no longer in isolation. And I'm just really, really grateful to share this journey with all of you.
Thank you,
Thank
Karsten.
you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Maria Elena. So great to have you here. Okay, we are going to Liz Oliver of Reconnecting Northland, who got up at 5 a.m. for this call. Amazing. Thanks so much for making it, Liz.
Thanks, Tyler. Great to meet you all, and thank you for the team for pulling this all together. I must admit, I'm not the best representative for Reconnecting Northland because our organisation has a very strong Indigenous Māori focus, and I'm not Indigenous Māori. I'm the chairman of the organisation, but I donate my time 100% to the objectives of Reconnecting Northland. And everything that people have been saying so far, there are so many things that are resonating for me and for us. I think we'd all agree that the existing approaches to regenerating Earth are not working. Billions of dollars have been spent over many years to try and reverse the decline, and it's not working. We're still in decline. And so there needs to be a different approach, a new system to come out of what we're all doing right now. And our view is that the thing that needs to change the most is man's relationship with nature, that we don't have dominion over nature. We are part of nature. And actually, it's the behaviour of people we need to fix, not fixing the land. Our vision is in 3 generations, Northland is the flourishing tapestry of abundant and resilient ecosystems. And the way that we do that is as what we call ourselves a connectivity catalyst, an organisation that supports communities in particularly our lowest socioeconomic areas of Northland, where there is the greatest biodiversity, but also the greatest decline in biodiversity. We have 4 pillars to our practice. The first one is a connectivity partnership where we are working on created syndicated investment stacks using government, philanthropy and impact investors to create a stack of investment to go into community. We've been listening to communities for 7 years about the support that they need to achieve their objectives, and as a result, we've developed Te Kete Hononga, which is a toolkit of packages of support that realise community-led initiatives while also growing the capability and resilience of the community, and that's led through a kairaranga. Kairaranga is a weaver who actually lives in those communities and is fully trained on what's in Te Kete, so they can reach in and pull down the things they need as and when they need them. There's a number of kairaranga over a tāpiri or a district, and so that's landscape scale district with multiple different communities within it. And we support the vision for those districts around creating a vision for 3 generations' time. And we then help them break down that vision into a connectivity action plan so that they become investment ready and we can feed capital
30
to
seconds,
them.
Liz.
Thank you. And the final pillar is nature-based enterprise. We believe we can't rely on solely on philanthropy and corporates to come up with the money. We need to be able to create regenerative revenue streams for these communities so that they can bring about the changes they need to without having to rely on external parties. Thank you. I'll stop there.
Woohoo! Thank you, Liz. So great to hear from you this morning. Alrighty, last but certainly not least, Brian Pupa from the Greater Takaranto bioregion. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, Tyler, and to all the organizers. I'm Brian Pupa, part of the core team holding the process for the Greater Takaronto Bioregion, the GTB, centered around Toronto, Canada, Takaronto being the Indigenous word for the origin of the word Toronto. I do have a few slides to share, Tyler, if I can get access to do that.
Yep. 1 second. Yeah, you're up.
Yeah, the GTB is part of the Great Lakes Basin, and you can see it in the darker color on the right side there. The Great Lakes Basin, of course, holds 21% of the world's surface fresh water, so a very important area for stewardship. The GTB is 3 million hectares, 10 million people, a quarter of Canada's population. It was first defined by David Crombie, a former Toronto mayor and federal cabinet minister. 1992, he wrote a report called Regeneration, and he defined the Greater Toronto Bioregion at that time. There are two major geologic features, the Niagara Escarpment, which is a World Biosphere Reserve, and the Oak Ridges Moraine, which is that tan-colored ribbon going west to east. It's a glacial moraine left behind by the last glaciation about 10 to 12,000 years ago. Captures all the rainwater falling on it and releases it into 65 waterways running north and south. We worked with a visual artist to represent the work in the GTB. Whole systems work in the foundation is the Indigenous stories, the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe, and up the trunk of the tree, the fractal scale linking from your work on a piece of land or a project to the bioregion, and how that connects ecologically into the Great Lakes Basin and ultimately affects planetary processes. So this brings more meaning and purpose to the individual land projects. We're doing both social regeneration and ecological regeneration, generations in community and bioregion. The crown of the tree interconnecting issues, and the ultimate goal in the top right, eco-psycho-social well-being, the Indigenous circle of wellness, that you can't be okay unless your community is okay, and your community can't be okay unless the world around you, the living world, is okay. This is what this looks like in the GTB. A bioregional funding ecosystem on the top, the Bioregional Learning Center, which is a decentralized network of existing learning sites from conservation authorities to universities to schools, all the places where we can learn about our place. In the center, the portfolio of potential projects. So knitting together the work of the conservation authorities, regenerative agriculture, regenerative business ventures, land trusts, community projects, looking at everything from backyard tree planting, because all of the backyards are one large landscape, to nature stewardship programs, to the school community network we started, and social prescribing, bringing the healthcare system into the work. This reflects Joe Brewer's bioregional regeneration platform. Joe and Penny, we invited them in a couple of years ago to help activate the bioregion, and was really instrumental, and worked closely with them since then, including the Bioregional Earth Summit that was held last February here. We have projects ready to go, from small projects, schools doing local regeneration projects, to expanding the backyard tree planting program to more parts of the GTB, to the restoration projects the conservation authorities have on their books, and build to the upper level, building a detailed land cover layer for the whole bioregion. So that just gives you a quick overview of the work. I will put in the chat a link to our bioregional regeneration forum that we just recently held. There's an index, and you can look at all the speakers, and it gives you a lot of behind real on the ground flavor for the work here if you want to take a quick look at some of the parts of that. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian. Can we get some finger love for all the grantees? Oh my goodness. Woo. Ooh, thank you all so much. And I do just want to mention that there's four more in this round as well who couldn't make this call today. I'm putting their links in the chat. A group down in Brazil, ReFi Uganda, Amazon Sacred Headwaters Alliance, and the Diamante Bioregional Consortium in Costa Rica. So please check them out as well if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll close this out, towards the half hour mark with some invitations and reflections of my own. But I just wanted to open up this space for the next 10, 15 minutes for all the grantees. Kind of as a community that's starting to weave relationship, I'd really love to invite y'all to ask each other questions right now. Is there something you want to learn more about that you heard mentioned? Is there something you just want to appreciate? Or is there a challenge that you're facing right now in your work that you want to say, hey, what do you think about this challenge? And what ideas might you have for helping us address this? So I'm going to leave the floor open for y'all. Take a second to reflect. There's no rush. Go for it, Claire.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to hear from everyone. And in the Design School for Generating Earth, we do a regular session. In fact, it's meant to be right now. It's bi-regional updates. And that was actually canceled so that people could attend here. But it's a way of sharing what's going on with each other's bioregions, and also being able to share, when there's opportunities for deeper learning, sort of actually taking that further. And what I'm wondering about is there is so much going on, and we can learn from each other, but we really need to think about how we do that in a regular learning way. That when this Gitcoin round ends, how do we stay connected with each other, and just sort of really thinking about how do we share the learning? Because there's no point in reinventing the wheel, but also the resources and the sharing, the templating, all of that.
Thanks for that inquiry, Claire. Go for it, Joe.
And just to share while other ideas are formulating, something you've probably all noticed if you've either been in the BioFi community of practice or the design school, is that these learning supports that Claire mentioned are being created. And so what's really beautiful about what's happening right now is we, as hosts of different spaces, are intentionally building coherence. We're intentionally finding the spaces to create the best supports, because we know that this kind of learning is absolutely needed. Just look at the 14, the 10 projects you saw of the 14, and you just got like the teaser version. What we're doing here is freaking amazing. What all of you are doing is freaking amazing. And these are stories that need to get out into the world. So those of us who are hosts of these different spaces are taking it very seriously, that we need to work together to enable this to happen the most powerful and quickly as we possibly can. So I just want to name that all of the people who organized this Gitcoin round, we're all acting in service to the movement or to the field. And so it's super important how timely this moment is.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, any other thoughts, questions from the grantees? I'm also curious, go ahead, Liz. You're on mute.
Thank you. We've developed and trialed over an 18-month period what we call Te Kite Hononga, which is our toolkit of support resources, connections. We're making the assumption that as we develop Te Kite, that it has relevance to others. And it would be lovely to test that assumption in some way. Because as projects get started, like we've been doing this for a long time now, and as projects get started, everybody has to start from the beginning, and everybody's reinventing stuff all over again. with the projects that we've supported, we think that the startup costs, we've managed to reduce those by 60% because we've codified the support systems. So to cut it short, I'm really interested if anybody's starting to build ideas for toolkits and so on, whether they're wanting to have a conversation to determine, for us to determine whether what we're doing is scalable and whether we can support others.
Beautiful, Liz. Thanks so much for that offer and invitation. Any comments or inquiries from other grantees? I'm also curious, each of you will be getting a couple $1,000s from this, hopefully more than that. And how do you imagine using this? It can be hard, especially if you're operating a bigger organization, for just a small trickle to come in and know how to allocate that. And so I'm curious what sort of experiments or ideas you all are holding about how you'd work with these funds. Go for it, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think, for us, so part of why we are really interested in being part of BioFi is to help establish an actual Costa Rican center for the work. Currently, some of our money, pretty much all the grants that we're receiving go through Regenerative Earth, but we would like it to go through a Costa Rican center that is really managed by the local community, and so that way, we can bring in funding from Costa Rican foundations and other groups, and so actually with this money, we would just pay the legal fees to try to establish that center. So that's one idea. And then the other one is, we haven't really set up a website for SEDBO and, some of these basic communication things and like a logo. And part of it is just because we've been just doing the work on the ground and getting, the capacity strengthening to the people and the funding to the projects. And so, just kind of building some of that out, I think is also what we're considering.
Thanks, Jennifer. Maria Elena.
Yeah, so Karsten mentioned that we're preparing a build-a-thon for May, and actually we're doing a prototype of that build-a-thon in mid-November. And we're currently designing basically the plot of land that's at the very top of the land that we purchased recently. And we're hoping to build some, permaculture vegetable gardens there and maybe redo the sanitation system to put in something that's all natural. And we're just kind of designing different things. So we also have a person that has just moved into the property and it's meant to be a community house. So we want to have more people living there. But one of the things that's going to be really important is that we're able to feed them. And so we want to be able to feed them autonomously through the growing of vegetables on the land. And that's part of showcasing what is possible. So we would put that money towards some of that work.
I can share something.
The people. Go for it, Spencer.
Yeah, Tyler. Hey, everybody. I'm with Reed Village, Green Valley with Michelle. Yeah, it's just to reflect, it's so beautiful just feeling the kind of global energy of this. We've been quite local, like focused on the town square here in Grayton, and then blooming out into the surrounding towns and bioregion. I think just grant wise, we found so much success with running like local events that are actually don't cost that much. Bringing a band in and having hay bales, and we're finding just so much energy, even from people who have no concept of bioregionalism, just want to show up and are really curious and learn. And we're having bake sales, and the fire department's coming out, and school kids are coming to the town square to learn from the archival photographs or draw and dream into what this place could be. So we're just finding a lot of richness and like listening, staying really slow, and bringing people who are committed to the space just to gather, and things are just moving from there. So it's I think we're just finding it doesn't take much to unlock what I think Joe called this like underswell, just giving a space for it and then it just pops out. So that's been really inspiring for us.
Thanks, Spencer. Samantha, do you have a question for the crew here?
I do. Yeah, we've heard a lot today about the importance of relationships in this bioregioning work that we're doing. And I was wondering if the grantees have anything they want to share about how the Gitcoin Round has supported them in reaching out to potential funders in their bioregion that they might be forming relationships with. And, the funder could be like your mom and like telling her like what you're up to and asking her to donate $25 to your project and like share it with her friends. Or it could be, someone that has a lot of financial wealth that's in the bioregion that maybe you hadn't approached before, but you want to invite in to be an ally of the bioregional work that you're doing. And yeah, I would just love stories, I guess, across that spectrum if folks have things they want to share.
I can share just really quick. That's been a great kind of benefit of this process is I think we've sent out like 200 direct messages on like LinkedIn and Facebook to people. And it's been a great kind of just small way to like let people preview what we're doing and not sort of wait until like we've got it all ready to go to like launch it out there in the world. And it's been, such a great way to let people know like, hey, we're cooking this up. Like, do you want to make a small donation? And also seeing like who shows up for that. And so that's definitely we'll be following up on those people as we grow and propel the work forward. So it's been a great way to kind of like baby step into like showing our larger community what we're doing and seeing who's interested in sort of financially supporting. So it's been great. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, that was one of the things we were hoping would happen. And of course, all of this is a process, right? There's no like end destination. So I'm glad you're feeling like ready to share even before it feels fully baked, whatever that means. Anyone else?
Go for it, Antonio.
Yeah, just from this Gitcoin round, we're both in the land stewards as well as this BioFi round. And this is pushing us to engage more with the community. So we've organized a series of events over the next few days to engage in person with the community because we're working across different settings, both rural, where the regeneration is taking place, but that's not where the people are. So this weekend, on Saturday, we'll be hosting a 4-hour like immersion, everything BioFi, refi in Palermo, which is the capital city, which is of course where the people are. So I'm really excited to basically put this all out there to the younger generation, people who are hungry for this type of storytelling. And then we continue the work with the local farm, basically hosting a pizza party, where one interesting thing is that a lot of the farmers are also artists and musicians because that pays the bills and selling the produce does. So we're engaging also with the cultural storytelling in a deeper way. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the results are. But people are hungry for this, and it's just about translating the story into a way that makes sense to them. And I think that's going to help us really grow and achieve a lot of our, like we're saying, the funding, the primary focus here, it's the organization and the storytelling, which is going to be really powerful.
If I could, on behalf of the Dawnlands Alliance, I would agree with that completely. It's really about inspiring new support from people who, as was stated earlier, want to but don't know how to support regenerative work. And the reality is that tribes are among that audience that needs to do the learning. And so for us, the new donors that have been connected to already by our early activities include existing museum members. And so hundreds of existing members for our museum want to connect to the things that the tribal people are doing today and not just learn about our history and language and culture. And so this is a layer of relationship engagement for existing museum patrons that is valuable to us and that has been supported already.
Wow, love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Michael, and thank you, Antonio.
Yeah, this is rich. Okay, I might head us towards our close here. And first, again, just want to say a huge thank you. It took a lot of effort on many people's parts to pull this round together. The whole years of work from the Gitcoin community, the work and the financial support of everyone on the round team here, and then the grantees. We told them about this opportunity like 2 weeks ago, and then it's a scramble to get the apps together, learn about Web3, tell their story, and so it's been a huge effort. And has been presence here. A lot of this is really about the storytelling in this moment in culture, in kind of economic transformation of telling these visions of what bioregional organizing is, what bioregional regenerative economies can be. And so we want to make sure that story gets out there and know that this round is just the beginning of what we can do together here as kind of a unified force. And so we see that this first Gitcoin grants round with $55,000 of matching funding, is just a small little trickle of what we hope this can grow into. And Gitcoin is really committed to thinking of themselves as this meta public good provider, someone who builds infrastructure that others can use to go and build other public goods. And so if these stories that each of these organizing teams are telling are public goods, our visions of how to do bioregional organizing and financing, we want that to spread. And so my request to all of you here, if you're tuning in as a listener and want to support this, is to donate, because that financial value is obviously supportive of everyone here, but it also sends a message. It sends a message to the broader community that this is valid, legitimate work. It sends a message to the Gitcoin team that put in, many thousands of dollars to support this, that this could be something that they want to support every quarter, and that we could be growing this flow that goes to bioregions. And that also, in the same way that the Ma Earth Round is supporting so many incredible land-based projects all over the world, we see that, next round or in the next couple rounds, each of these bioregional teams could be organizing their own Gitcoin round for all the regenerative projects in their bioregions. And so we want not just to grow this global to bioregional round, but we want that fractal to continue. And so the more weight and more voice we put into nations here, the stronger that message is to the broader community, the more likely it is that significant wealth holders will want to play this game with us. And so if you haven't heard, one of the best innovations in Web3 that I've seen in recent years is actually allowing folks who aren't ready for Web3 yet to play. And so this round features a PayPal option. So you can give through PayPal, you can give through your credit card and your debit card. I just put the link in the chat there. And if you want to learn the Web3 process, there's a guide there for how to do that. I think last couple things I want to presence is, yeah, one of the dangers of biorealism, that I think has been mentioned a couple of times in many of our educational spaces, is that the focus on local can concentrate and keep wealth in places where it's been extracted from. And so one of the dynamics that often plays out in Gitcoin is the people with the greatest privilege, the greatest access to technology, have more ease with playing these games and drawing attention, which means wealth flows again to privileged places rather than being distributed to places from where wealth has been extracted from. And there's a risk of us doing that here in this grants round. You know, everyone will get funding from this. We have a minimum, but right now, when I look at the spread of where donations are going in our round, there tends to be a bias towards the global north folks. And global north, global south, those terms can get complicated, and we can be more nuanced with our thinking there. But just using that simplistic lens, it's a pattern I want to presence and invite you all, as you're inviting people to donate, to consider that pattern and consider how they want to respond to it with their donations. Is there anything else I want to say? I don't think so. I think we're stronger together here, and so please keep sharing these stories out. Yeah, Samantha, is there anything else you want to check out with?
Oh, just that this was so awesome, and I'm feeling really inspired hearing all these incredible stories. It makes the work feel so much more real. And I guess one thing that we can ask Tyler is, are all the grantees okay with us sharing the recording of this call on the internet so more people can hear your stories and hopefully donate? So maybe we can get a thumbs up right now, but just email Tyler later if that's not okay with you.
Yeah, I won't be able to see everyone, but let me know if that's not okay. I'll confirm with all of y'all via email. Brian.
I think he was just thumbs upping.
No, no, no.
No, he's got
You're on
something.
mute, Brian.
You're on
Yeah,
mute, Brian.
sorry, Tyler. I was doing the thumbs up with the wrong signal. Sorry about that.
Okay. You're right. You're right, Samantha. Okay. Well, I think that's it, friends. We've got like 4 more days, so please spread the word. Let us know if you got questions. A real honor to be here with you all. Please come off mute, say farewell, say happy Halloween, say boo.
Thank you. Thank you,
Happy
everybody.
Halloween.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Boo to
What a
everyone.
beautiful
Thank
gathering.
you. Fun.
Thank you.
See you all soon. Take care.